Well, I think cash transfer has been around for some years, and I would say at least 5 years ago, this was an issue, or became a little more prominent in this country. And I think now it has become even more and more important.
Um, I'm not sure I can like trace it to one particular event or date or intervention.
I think it was many decades ago actually. Well, government policy on cash transfers has been very inconsistent.
Most people think that it has come out in debate only in the context of the food security thing. It's a very, very old exercise, and we have many cash transfers which are currently going on. I mean, all the social pensions in that sense are cash transfers, whether you're a widow pension, old age pension, or your social disability pension. Even your scholarships are cash transfers. All forms of scholarships are cash transfer. So we have an existing method, I mean, like we have an existing model, and cash transfers have existed for quite a long time.
In terms of food security, it's really very recent. It's just come. It's come now.
We already have so many cash transfers. So I'm not saying then you are going to give one more cash transfer. You are going to give, see, for example, a person who is, that's what I said, a person who is, say, old aged, he does get a cash transfer. Students, all of them get a cash transfer, more or less. I mean, at least some kind of a transfer you get. The say, for example, if you are a widow, you do get a cash transfer. So you are getting that cash transfer. If that cash transfer could convert it into, but in urban areas, the problem is more of accessibility, availability, and making sure that there is actually physical food in the kitchen. That has a completely different impact on nutrition compared to the one which is simply in terms of money. Because money has many demands. Food has not too many demands. Once it is food, either it can be sold in the market or it can be consumed. So you can still technically sell it back in the market and then use it for some other purposes. But yes, money when it is there, it be used to paying school fees, being for maybe adding some kind of a construction in your house, or maybe for buying clothes or something like that. But food, when it comes to the kitchen and it is under the control of the women, then it is less likely to be used for any other purposes.
So I think what the current thing is that right now we are building capabilities. So maybe the cash transfer thing is a premature option for some parts of the country, but it may not be so, let's say 4 years, 5 years now, if this is if this infrastructure is developed.
My feeling is that this government seems to be committed to direct benefit cash transfer, because the newspaper reports that you hear about the restructured planning commission or the Niti Aayog, one of the divisions, special division they are making for benefit cash transfer, direct cash transfer, right? And another division on Aadhaar. So out of the 4 divisions, 2 divisions are geared to this process. So my feeling is this government is keen, or at least seems to be seriously considering that direct benefit transfer is perhaps the best way of providing support to the people. The question of banking facility was a main issue that was earlier raised, that how are you going to do benefit cash transfer, people don't have cash, a bank account and so on. Now I think with the Jan Dhan Yojana and its dramatically launching of it, with I think does give you some hope that by the end of middle of next year, everyone would have a bank account. At least all the poor would have a bank account. Now many people are complaining that these bank accounts are there, but they don't have any cash in them. But to receive cash, you don't need cash in that. You can just have a bank account which is so it may not be useful for farmers or poor people to get that, use that bank account for getting credit or other things, but it will be very useful for them to receive benefit cash transfers. So I think this is a confluence of things, the technology changing, the unique ID coming, the discussions on very expensive or expansive, one should say, Food Security Act coming into the picture. I would say that you could continue to use them side by side for some time, and in some districts and some areas you might still want to continue with the PDS with a cooperatively organized distribution system, public PDS shop and so on, and provide that, because a lot of debates are taking place. Now people like you could say strong supporters of PDS, Ritika Khera one might say, or Himanshu, or would be arguing that it is possible to remove all the leakages from the existing system by providing using IT and GPS and other systems in the distribution of this. For example, if one of the suggestion is that you put a GPS on all the trucks which goes to deliver this. The moment they leave a depot with a food grains to give it to a particular shop, you inform all the ration card holders or those who have mobile that this truck has come and is delivering this amount of food grains and this is available. So all the people in the village would know that. Now this is, I think that faith in the IT system and the modern technology in here is touching in some sense, because the same fellows are not willing to have the same faith in the IT system of unique Aadhaar system and direct benefit cash transfer. So I am not completely persuaded that it is necessary to give food grains as food grains. I believe that people are rational, they are sensible, you give them money, this. Now question would certainly be there, that even if you have money, there is nobody to supply you food grains. Now that I think is the issue, where I say in remote areas, in certain areas, you should certainly think in terms of setting up fair price shops, not even fair market price shops you can call it, but making sure that the food grains are available at a reasonable price. And there are issues which can not any more complicated than the issues we face in the PDS. So yes, direct benefit cash transfer is not perfect, but it will be a huge improvement in the existing system. We should not look for a perfect system, we should look for significant improvement on existing systems.
I think now many states can see that this is something that people really care about. Both Odisha and Chhattisgarh, the state governments have been winning again and again, not largely, but certainly the fixing of the PDS has been an important part of the re-election story.
So going forward, do you see a role for cash transfers in providing food security?
See, cash transfers instead of food, like I said earlier, I feel that maybe in urban areas there should be some small pilots without this kind of pressure and without the kind of heated debates and polarized debate that has been happening in the past 2 or 3 or 4 years. Yeah, let there be like genuinely calm-headed pilots in urban areas, and that will help us understand, what are the issues. I think the Chhattisgarh state government, for all its other faults, in the case of the PDS has taken a sensible sort of approach. So now in urban areas of Chhattisgarh, they've introduced something called core PDS, which is trying to bring in portability in the public distribution system. So what they've started doing is you get your ration card, but you also get like an ATM card. Yeah, and that smart card you can take it to any shop, any ration shop that has that EPOS machine. Yeah, and they're expanding the network of those shops gradually, first across urban areas and then a little bit into rural areas also. And so basically now, for some of these people living in Raipur or Bilaspur or Durg or wherever, they can take their ATM card to any ration shop in their city and buy. So if I'm a tenant, it's a big facility, right? Because I don't need to be tied to that original shop where my card was originally made. I can get my grain from my new place of residence also. and then they see it as a stepping stone towards offering these same people a choice between buying the grain or getting cash. Yeah, and maybe that's a sensible way to try it out. I still have reservations, even in urban areas. I think the really poor will prefer to get food. And you know, in principle, it sounds like a neat idea, like, you know, just let people decide what they want. But I feel the implementation of it is not going to be very simple. And as we all know, it's the implementation that ultimately matters. So I feel that going this Chhattisgarh sort of way for the PDS, that might be one way to try out in urban areas. I think rural areas, we'll have to wait another decade, at least.